Have you ever wondered how 13 small colonies across the ocean stood up against one of the most powerful empires in the world and won their freedom? Well, today we're going back in time to find out. What was the Revolutionary War? What caused it? Who were its key figures? And what impact did it have on the world? All right, let's dive into history. The Revolutionary War, also known as the American War of Independence, was a war between the Kingdom of Great Britain and 13 of its American colonies, which declared independence as the United States of America. The war took place from 1775 to 1783. Why did the American colonies declare war on Britain? Well, there were several underlying causes of the war. One of the major causes was taxation without representation. As the British Empire expanded, it needed to raise revenue to fund its growing military and administration costs. As a result, the British government passed a series of acts that imposed taxes on the American colonies. For example, the Sugar Act of 1764 placed a tax on sugar and molasses imported into the colonies. The Stamp Act of 1765 required colonists to purchase special stamped paper for legal documents and other official transactions. And the Townshend Acts of 1767 put taxes on goods such as tea, glass, and paper. However, the colonists argued that they should not have to pay these taxes because they had no voice in the British Parliament and therefore no representation. This cry of no taxation without representation became a rallying cry for the colonists as they protested against British policies. Another major cause of the war was the increasing sense of American identity. Over time, the American colonies had developed a distinct identity separate from that of Britain. This was partly due to the geographic distance between the two, and partly due to the unique experiences of the colonists in North America. As the colonists began to see themselves as Americans, rather than simply British subjects, they became more resistant to British rule. Tensions continued to rise between the colonies and Britain, leading to the outbreak of war in 1775. So what were some of the major events of the war? In April 1775, fighting broke out between British troops and colonial militiamen at Lexington and Concord, Massachusetts. These battles are considered to be the first shots of the Revolutionary War. The battles resulted in the deaths of 8 American militiamen and 1 British officer. In July 1776, the Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence, which was written primarily by Thomas Jefferson. The declaration outlined the reasons for the colonies: break with Britain, and asserted the right of the colonies to self-rule and freedom from British control. The war was not always smooth sailing for the Americans. In 1776, British forces captured New York City, and the war raged on for several years with neither side able to gain a clear advantage. However, things took a major turn in October 1777 during the Battle of Saratoga. Here, American forces led by General Horatio Gates and Benedict Arnold defeated a British force sent to take control of the strategically important city of Saratoga. This victory is considered to be the turning point of the war, as it convinced France to openly join the conflict as an American ally. With France on their side, the Americans were able to continue to fight and eventually won a decisive victory at the Battle of Yorktown in October 1781. British General Cornwallis surrendered his troops to American and French forces, effectively ending the war. Who were some of the key figures involved in the war? On the American side, George Washington was the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army. He led the American forces to victory and is considered to be the father of his country. Thomas Jefferson was the principal author of the Declaration of Independence and served as the 3rd president of the United States. Benjamin Franklin was a key figure in the movement for independence and played an important role in securing foreign support for the American cause. On the British side, King George III was the monarch of Great Britain during the war. He opposed American independence and tried to suppress the rebellion. General Charles Cornwallis was the British general who surrendered at Yorktown, ending the war. What about foreign support? Which side did other countries support? During the Revolutionary War, foreign powers saw an opportunity to advance their own interests in the conflict. France, Spain, and the Netherlands all provided various forms of support to the American cause. France was the most significant foreign power to support the Americans. Initially, France provided covert support to the colonies, supplying them with weapons and ammunition. However, as the war progressed, France became more open in its support for the Americans. In 1778, France officially recognized the United States as a nation and sent troops and navy to assist the Americans in their fight against the British. The French Navy played a crucial role in the American victory at the Battle of Yorktown, which led to the end of the war. Spain and the Netherlands provided indirect support to the Americans. Spain saw an opportunity to reclaim territories, lost to the British in the 7 Years' War, and began attacking British possessions in the Caribbean and elsewhere. The Dutch Republic, which had been a major player in the transatlantic slave trade, also saw an opportunity to weaken British power and began trading with the Americans. So when did the war end, and how did it impact the world? The Revolutionary War officially ended with the signing of the Treaty of Paris on September 3, 1783. The treaty formally recognized the independence of the United States and established the boundaries of the new nation. The war had a profound impact on the world. It marked the birth of the United States of America as an independent nation and inspired other revolutions, particularly the French Revolution. The American victory demonstrated that it was possible to overthrow oppressive power and establish a government based on principles of democracy, liberty, and self-determination. The ideas of the American Revolution spread rapidly throughout Europe and the rest of the world, where they inspired calls for reform and revolution against oppressive governments. All right, now it is time for you to become a founding father of your own learning by answering this question. What was one way that geography influenced the outcome of the Revolutionary War? Share your answer in the comments below. And if you want to keep the learning going, click here to visit our site, where you can explore more than 2,500 additional lessons in history, science, math, and more. All right, see you next time.